Peace, everyone. Welcome back. If you are returning and if you are just coming across the channel, welcome. We are unraveling and exploring infinite creative potential, reviewing the manuscript Synchronous Universe, which is a recent publication that I released in March of 2025. Prerequisite to this material, I have the publication Peaks and Valleys, and it is not required, but I do highly encourage anybody, if you are new to this channel or relatively new, please review the previous videos in this playlist. We extensively and thoroughly elaborate on peaks and valleys, and that is designed to get the spirit activated and the juices flowing and the individual more intertwined with the divine faculties and machinations that are flowing and surging through the nature of their being, and developing just a fundamental depth of awareness that also in that manuscript there are practical methods of application that you can utilize at your will and harness and employ these divine machinations or these divine faculties that are our higher aspects of our nature, our spiritual essence, our subtle bodies and subtle essence. This channel is also dedicated to exploring these inner planes and inner realms in depth, and also more from an esoteric and occult sense, so that some of the things that may synchronize in this, as we go through this manuscript, you will see we are dedicating this playlist specifically to understanding how to bring our conscious awareness to the unconscious and program our unconscious through the conscious. That is the suggestion via symbols, repetition, different way. There's different techniques that you can apply, but first we also have to develop an awareness for what that is, which we already have innately. It's just we're helping each other remember and reminding each other of that divine power that is perpetually flowing through your spirit. Also in this channel, we're reviewing the archonic forces that are in everywhere, and how to protect our prana in this process of the life experience. So this full title of Synchronous Universe, which is unraveling and exploring infinite creative potential, is going to be a timeless and a timeless effort and endeavor, perpetual endeavor, meaning that the responsibility of the individual will be to exercise these divine machinations and these divine faculties. And depending on where we are in our unraveling on our life journey, we may have forgotten, or maybe nobody is reminding you of your boundless potential. So that's what we're here to do, and continuing working towards the unraveling of the life spirit, which is in a perpetual state of self-contemplation. That is your awareness. That is your inner light. So to traverse the darkness and the subconscious planes, we must have a deeper understanding with the faculties that exist in the psyche, in the human psyche, and metaphysically in the soul, and also in the mind, the subconscious mind, more specifically, particularly where most autonomous action for our well-being and equilibrium is being intelligently communicated with one another and organized. So this is what I like to call divine life force intelligence, which is your subtle bodies. Essentially, in physics, they just continue to find theories for smaller and smaller particles on subatomic, nanoatomic scales. Well, the ancients, from what I researched, had a consciousness awareness of this via their understanding of all planes and inner dimensions of man, so and universe, as all is one consciousness. So to get us back to that again, that's why I say we're here to help each other and remind each other of this power. Now, the archons are, of course, the powers that be in our current day, and we will go further into that and explore more as far as protecting our prana and just developing an awareness for some individuals may misunderstand some of the concepts of the polarity parameters that are, harnessed by the universe, which is we have a natural, there's a natural polarity universally in the forces of the universe. It's just that polarity parameters have been redesigned and formatted to fit a narrative in this physical construct. And that's being done completely by other human. So it's not natural. This is being synthetically, it's been hijacked, if you will, but essentially the same way we have the power, we're just giving it away to people who say that they're in control. So this is a way to develop a sense of critical thinking and sovereignty within the soul of the individual. This isn't to be, oh, I'm intelligent and we're sitting here debating and arguing. That's the opposite of what this is intended to do. So your sovereignty is going to create an instantaneous communication with peace, and it will be present for you when you need it at all times. And how to employ, your intuition to work for you subconsciously. So that thing, you already have the awareness before things happen because you've intentfully programmed this to the subconscious. So hopefully, again, please check out these previous videos. Peaks and Valleys is going to elaborate and really get the spirit juices flowing. And if anything doesn't make sense in the as you're reading or as you're listening, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me privately via Patreon or an email. You can send me an email. You can also comment in the section below, or however you desire. These books are also available on Amazon, so the links in the description or in the comment section are check those out if you would like to have a physical copy for yourself. The ebook is available as well, but I encourage everybody to get the physical copies if possible. So Synchronous Universe is we've already covered the intro, so please go back to the previous videos to get the intro. Alright, now let's get right into it today. And after we do a reading, we're going to do some elaboration. Please feel free to get your notes, get your papyrus and your pen, if you will. I highly encourage everybody to jot some notes down, take some notes. I'm not here to I'm here to share what I can to encourage and empower the individual, the listener, the viewer to empower themselves and stop feeding their prana into this freaking chaos and distraction field that's literally been designed for you to vacuum your life. It's to vacuum your life force up. So in order to directly assess the process of understanding the codes of the universe, which is your inner verse, unraveling your code, one must develop a healthy relationship with the internal eyesight of the expanding mind, faculties of consciousness within. You're constantly creating pathways, manifesting pathways in your neural network. I mean, quite literally, currents are flowing through the waters in your higher nature, in your up here in the temple. Is where all the waters. I mean, 90% water, and the currents are constantly feeding almost like a vinyl needle in a wax. It's impressions of our life experience to it, and the subconscious is a collective storehouse of all those impressions. So essentially just an infinite library that just keeps collecting and expanding. You have access instantaneously to acknowledge that presence within, but it has to be respected. Now, if you don't have to, but when we're working with white magic, or let's just say for the benevolence of humanity, for goodness, and you are able to see the black magic, you're able to see the evil. Well, let me say this right here real quick. The only difference, like if you're still stuck in these words, like please, again, these are spells. Words are spells. They're spelling. Just like a witch is casting its spell. Okay, it's not a joke. So when you're thinking about life as being good or evil, I'm going to give you another reference point. You can acknowledge this at your will, but this will break these word chains that we tie our subconscious to, that we have either unknowingly, or maybe we're competent of this now, but at the time we were not aware as younger, or just not in that deeper state of awareness, which is common for children. If we're not being educated, and obviously in the systems today, we're not being educated on different esoteric psychology, obviously. So that's why it's so important to acknowledge and seek out the inner standing, because good and all, and here's what I was getting to, all that good and evil is harmony and discord. All right, so you can stop freaking your mind out and freaking your brain out with Hollywood bullshit on good and evil. Okay, look at it as harmony and discord in everything that's within you and everything that's outside of you. That's all good and evil is harmony and discord. All right, now I just wanted to these are things that you can pause and ponder. Again, I wrote this because it was better to elaborate on if I could write it first, and that was my most honorable intention, and why I'm here right now reading. So let's continue, and I will also share some light and gnosis as we go. So this is an intertwining relationship of the subconscious mind, again, where all the collective storehouse, where all impressions, even of our past lives, of our soul. So that's what, we have a chart, a zodiac chart, for a reason. These astrological alignments, that planetary alignments that took place upon your birth. That's why they, part and factor why they partially hold significance to an understanding, or at least an unraveling of your code. That doesn't mean like, oh, I'm a Taurus, so I can't get with a freaking Leo or whatever. These are the same way you'd stereotype like anything. That's the same thing. So developing this eyesight requires develop awareness of polarity parameters. Again, this is in peaks and valleys, but we're going to get into this further on the inner planes of the individual, not so much exoterically. So on the inner planes, that is again an ability to respond. Therein lies the power of the subconscious, the will of the individual. Again, these faculties are intertwining and interweaving and working together. The reason for separating them is to develop an awareness, so that when we say we are, doing inner alchemy, we can work towards this harmonious flow and fluidity of these machinations, of these faculties. Hopefully that resonates. Again, if this doesn't make sense, please reach out and just let me know what doesn't make sense. So expanding mind and faculties of consciousness within. Another aspect of this. This is why I said get your notes out, because I might go from thing to thing, but these are all little things you can incorporate if something resonates with you and your journey right now. But an example of a machination or development of these faculties would be utilizing visualization techniques and employing your imagination. Okay, this is where boundless potential lies. But our subconscious is fed what it knows via, or let's just say what is, as it doesn't have rationality in thought. It just is impressed upon like a needle, the vinyl of whatever frequency is being fed through it and into it, and then it stores it. So this is like the Akashic record per se too, and we're also a collective unconscious of this as well. So these working with these faculties is going to strengthen the overall awareness and consciousness and spiritual awareness of the individual. Again, this is not like it is a cosmetic thing in its lowest form. In its most lowest form, you'll see like somebody, they have better energy, they're eating better, they've made better life, they're making better choices to live in a higher frequency of being. Again, the polarity parameters, the design to keep you to picking a side rather than focusing on the middle point. The middle point, that's M, which is 13, representing the Christ number 13 with the 12 disciples. The 12 disciples are just discipline energies to discipline you. So again, I'm not saying these aren't useful for some humans. It is, but if you have sovereignty, and self-control, 100% awareness of you and who you are, none of this stuff is necessary. All right, so an intertwining relationship of the subconscious mind and spirit of the individual with all that is. So we're embracing the chaos, all of it. Again, this awareness is going to come with a spiritual expansion, I'll say. As you continue to unravel, we have to live and learn. So to continue doing the same stuff every day and not seeing different results, but expecting something to change, or just I'll pray and things, these are the things that loop people into energy patterns of stagnation. So sometimes it sounds like I'm on a tangent, but I'm not. And please stick with me. Stay with me. This is why we're in chapter 1, and it is cracking the code, which is your code, which is a pattern break. All this stuff that people allude to on the internet about changing your life and making, your life so, magical by doing this, or this is the key. These are what is underlying the current that underlies all of these videos and explanations of the best, this and that. It's a pattern break. The individual is making an awareness choice consciously to give themselves a pattern break. Now, whether or not we decide to learn about the subconscious so that we can also reprogram and truly do the inner alchemy for this life experience, and be the agent of that. You have full agency of this. You always do. It's just remembering this. So again, giving yourself a pattern break. You don't have to keep watching the same BS and doing the same BS. And, if you're feeling that you need to, how do I say this? You need to tune in to you. Give yourself time and tune into you. And I really don't like to say this is need, because if you tune into you'll know what you need to do. But a lot of the distraction is sort of just it's sort of designed to do the opposite. Pull you out of you. Therefore, you're giving attention rather than employing intention. All right. So we're going to, of course, go into more occult principle and esotericism amidst this course. Electromagnetism, electricity, and magnetism, which is like your current, the last 40, 50 years, and now it's plasma. But These are all things that are just being recovered, remembered. All right, it's nothing new. Um, So right, and the omnipresent forces that are, the universal forces of energy, that they just act like, oh, we just discovered this. These are the grifts that are going to continue to keep your mental limited. So as soon as you decide to train your belief system to some of this modern day science shit, you're now giving the power of your spirit away from expansion, and you're starting to loop your belief system, which is your spiritual system now. And it's at its essence. It's your spiritual systems that you're starting to train, whether you are aware of this or not. These are the egregores, the archons, the forces, the entities in different planes. It doesn't have to be seen. Well, it depends on your awareness. You might not be seeing with that, and it's not a magical thing. This is just studying energetics, studying symbolism. You don't have to be a freaking psychic or a medium, or there are respected forces of nature that go beyond the five senses. And of course, in education, again, we are trained as children about only what the five senses. We don't go any more in depth in the esoteric. The whole understanding is understanding the subtle forces of what you are and what everything is around you. This is an understanding all is one. And yes, you are God. You are the creator. But do you who is reinforcing that? And who's responsible for affirming that and making the affirmation, so that your subconscious can be aware that you have the potential to be the generator, operator, and destroyer of your frequency of thought, your willpower. And this is the true nature of unraveling the code. Okay, and this can be expressed in different degrees too. Again, everybody's in their own unraveling of their unique code. However, this programming, this is, again, when they only teach you about the five senses and they don't teach they don't spend any time saying, hey, children, you have extrasensory perception abilities. We're going to briefly, educate the children as they unravel their magic, their divine essence, as the little God creator essence that they are. Before, and when we start getting older, we start to get programmed. This is the shit that starts to weigh down it kills imagination, fear, doubt, all the anxieties, and then like the indulgences in this realm. That's the archons trying to feed you some pleasure bullshit, temporarily make you feel good. That's not conducive for spiritual growth or spiritual awareness. This is things I'm bringing bringing up to light. It's easy to see the tip of the iceberg when you're sitting on the surf, when you're on the boat, when you're riding the boat, But everything underneath it, which is 90% of that iceberg, is what we have to uncover. The journey. It's a development of these relationships, which determine the experience in its subtle form, subtle body, or subtle bodies. So symbolism, which I mentioned this a minute ago, but let's get into a little bit more. Over the course of the centuries, has embedded into the collective mind and subconscious of human beings. Symbols include shapes, symbols in Mother Nature, brand name logos, letters, sigils, molecular crystalline structures, which is all life, all organic material, the constellations and celestial luminaries, living and non-living entities, flags, all art throughout history, egregores, collective thought, which are collective thought forms, archetypes, and everything else the collective mind and imagination of man has unraveled in between. The repetition of these symbols form patterns which hold particular frequencies unique to the symbol. Particular influence is thus transmitted to the individuals subjected to the symbol. Repetition of these patterns strengthen a particular vibrational influence, intentionally imbalancing, manipulating, disrupting, controlling, and even reprogramming the electromagnetic biofield of the individual. Okay, are you listening? I hope so. Now, I see that there is a growing awareness and effort to bring the collective to this level of discernment. So again, giving the attention away to these egregores and these entities which have been imaginatively devised and appointed to perform a specific energetic task to control or influence the bioenergetics and the biorhythm of humanity as a collective. Just like Taylor Swift at her concert and creating a small earthquake-sized frequency of power to encapsulate and encompass a radius of vicinity of complete thought, like mind control, and then this power, of course, emanates outward, and the stronger it is at its core, at its foundation, the more potential it has in its expansion and its course of expansion. Of course, we have to study ourselves deeply to understand these divine machinations are actually unraveling from the spirit from within. This is an emergence point, but because we've been programmed to consume, oversaturated and bombarded by this programming, by the way, we're how much is the ticket? Oh, $750. Oh, for 77th row. Wow, that's a great deal. Let me spend my so the consumption, that's what we feed our life. I'm not saying that this is a good or bad decision. What I'm saying is this is the training. Your mind is being programmed to do all this shit, and whether or not we're understanding the power of the subconscious, this is happening. Okay? It does not care about you. The entity does not care about you. It doesn't have feelings. It's trying to actually harvest your feelings to keep it alive. Right? That's why it exists and still exists. Your key, because we, or the collective, some group, entity, we're putting our life force into it. These weren't created by the original creator. This is the unraveling of the imagination of man in working in with the universal forces manipulatively, in a manipulative manner, to exploit resources and exploit human energy, human prana, for their engineering of profiteering and growing their their little crowns and castles. I don't know. Their material matrix. Their power, really, it's the mind. The human mind is the ultimate, power that they're grifting off of. All right. Repetition of these patterns strengthen the particular vibrational influence. So all the logos, symbols. Okay, so think about the ancestors before all this programming and levels of consumption was training your faculties and your senses. What were the ancestors doing? They were studying. They were mapping out astrologies. That's where when you look up, you're looking at a flat, an as above, so below representation of what we're seeing as. And this is this is where the science is like, okay, guys, you can sit there and argue forever, but the spiritual awareness is what's going to bring you closer into the connection of what is true, with the truth that's unraveling within you. Trying to understand a perception, and then also in some congruence, take note that we're in an illusion. Now, that sort of, at the very least, at least we're employing critical thought. So I'm not against, I'm just saying this isn't to argue. If you're sitting here arguing and debating, you're just using these people as mirrors to blurt out your opinionated, factual, opinionated points, and what you feel is right, or what what your research has determined based off of your perception of your research. So even people, have, like, the fact that there's different perceptions should include that there's individuality, which is vital for nature to creatively express itself. That should be obvious. So if we can drop to at least bring this to some form of logic where you want individuals to think individually in a critical way, to develop all of these magical powers within you. So hopefully we're not, that my point is stop trying to attack the neck of another man when we're just or a woman, when we're just responsible for our own prana, our life force. The truth is going to unravel as the truth. You just have to be honorable as you unravel yours. If it doesn't make sense to you, at some point that might be the same for somebody, or it might be the opposite. People can change their mind too. And what I notice is that a lot of people don't. It's not about them developing an expanded gnosis. It's actually these people are archon. These are archons. They are trying to loop your ass into some paradigm of confusion bullshit so that they can make fucking money. They're trying to make money. It's a business. Let me say this shit on this side of the polarity, and then once I get enough people on this side, I'm gonna backstab them, and I'm gonna go to the other side, and guess what? Now I'm gonna get a whole nother group of followers to say, oh, you see? And the people that will first follow me, they're gonna give me the same attention, just in a different energy. So the energetics is still empowering the individual. You see, I hope that you can see, as we are all creators here. There are manipulative forces everywhere trying to harvest your emotions, your feelings. You should protect these at all costs. This is your reservoir to employ your boundless essence of creativity, your creative flow, to employ your spirit to accomplish its goals here. And in turn with that, falling in love with the process. Stop thinking about the fucking outcomes of everything. If it doesn't look like this, I'm gonna cry. If it doesn't work out for me. This is like little kid stuff. Okay? These are grown ass people with a complete false sense of entitlement. And it really does come down to a lack of spirituality, a lack of soul. And it's not story time right now, but I'll dedicate in the future some time to, if you contemplate this, you can come up with experiences that, oh shit, yeah, I've seen people be manipulative, entitled, overly aggressive to nothing. And this is because they're possessed by shit and they're projecting it. They're going to try and make you feel bad or make you feel like you're subordinate or inferior. This is all strategy in the design of the programming of the mainstream and the collective. This isn't natural. It's not natural shit. I never did look at a human as a unequal, as a one as a lick, or two as a unequal. And I'm thankful. I'm grateful for this. I was taught well as a child. I was whoever was putting their energy into me, my grandfather. I mean, I know who it was, and my parents. I know who it is. They lived through me. All this, this is what the subconscious is so important to understand. You don't lose this stuff. All this is built up within you. And it's our responsibility to keep it flowing, and not only just keep it flowing, but employ it to heal ourselves and to grow and expand our awareness in this process of the life journey. So back to chapter 1. That's where your initiative, your awareness and agency to establish a pattern break comes in. And maybe you're already doing this completely in an awareness of this. That's amazing. That's amazing. We're here to empower each other of this. That's it. This isn't like, oh, you get your stamp of your degree now. Now, these are perpetual efforts, and I can't stamp you, give you a golden star. Obviously, I'm just joking. You are already the light. You are the star. You are the light. It's unraveling from within you. So just give and allow it to expand in your body. You will feel this energy electrify your body, but you have to preserve your energy, your attention. Stop giving this prana away. That does not mean don't go to work, guys. What that means is I'm not talking about the 9 to 5 shit. I'm talking about the inner planes, the inner work, what we're doing most of the time. Some people just numb that shit as much as I can, and I get it, because this can give you more power than you know what to do with, because you're not being honorable or accountable with your power. So that's when you go and you get anxious and you get all emotional, or you don't have that balance point because you never respected it enough for it to flow. It had to get built up somehow. You're like, no. Just allow this the chaos and embrace it, because that's what you are. The nature of who you are. Everything is unraveling from some point of infinite potential, which is the primordial soup of chaos and boundless potential. Your spirit has a trajectory. It had a trajectory before it got here. There is an unraveling that's occurring in everything. That is consciousness. That's why, studying this is, this isn't for everybody. But if you come across this and it hits and it rings a bell for you, get it, get it. You already got it. I'm saying, sorry, I want to use the correct terminology here. Just unravel it and stop feeding out your potential, your life force. So we noted that power of the subconscious mind, that the symbols and the repetition, and one thing I didn't note that I'm about to note right now before we move on is which I sort of did, but I didn't say it directly, but dealing with our trauma in our traumas. This is a perpetual effort, and you have to work to, once you get to the breakthrough. It's not a milestone. It's not here's your trophy or whatever. I mean, if I'm not saying don't feel good about growth. What I'm saying is don't glorify. You already are infinite power. You don't have to glorify a milestone. You are infinite potential. You are boundless in your possibilities. And it has nothing to do with believing it. It's being it. All right. Now visualize these interweaving and overlapping fractals of vibrational waveforms fluid in the universe. Frequencies of particular states of data or information, note the word information, intelligently arranging, rearranging, organizing, and disorganizing themselves. This is the perpetual fluidity of all potentiality. This is the universal forces of what we are in our subtle essence. well, in all its emanations as well, down, subtle essence being its formative of the physical. The lower vibratory waveforms, these materials or elements collect into formation and inform the individual. What am I saying? I'm saying, we're getting this. The individual of what is observed with the two eyes we call physical reality. Here's our physical construct, lowest emanation in the dimensions, the physical field. This is the illusion. So these materials are the elements of infinite potential that have organized themselves into a form. So they inform the individual of what it is when they observe it. And that observe is the illusion, because the true intuition, the unraveling of what is emerging from your fire, your sacred fire, your spirit, your life spirit is emerging from the soul, the vehicle of the soul in a perpetual motion, unraveling. Soul is finding its way back to the source. That's constantly what it's working on. That's why I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. Thought frequency fields across multidimensional consciousness, as etheric fields and subtle bodies, layers, consist of polarization parameters where frequencies of harmonized thought waveforms collect. Okay, we were just mentioning, or I was, polarized polarity parameters. All right, where harmonized thought waveforms collect. Now, when I say harmonized, what I'm saying is these are sympathetic. This is a sympathetic resonance. Okay, this is the sympathetic resonance of frequency, just like the planets hold a sympathetic resonance in the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, and in your soul. Why the zodiac, why all this has power in it, and you have that boundless power in essence is you. That is your ability to respond, that responsibility. All right, so what I'm mentioning is we have that developing awareness that the construct has been hijacked by other humans who have put in their imaginative thought frequency into form, okay, utilizing or harnessing and employing the same universal potential, except they're harnessing it from a manipulative with a manipulative intent. So that embedded into the frequency of the information is the control mechanism to program a subconscious in a particular way. All right. The more people's thought frequencies give the entity the power, which is your life force, your belief is your belief is the technology, not the damn. All right. Together, these harmonized thought frequencies form belief systems with which have contributed to shaping culture and human consciousness for thousands of years. This is the same program. This is why so many people say this is the scripted reality. It's not. Don't be confused with conspiracy and shit. It's literal. And you can literally go and open these books and find the synchronicities that's still occurring right now. So there is no defense other than the individual being hard-headed because they've spiraled themselves into a train of thought of stagnation. It's like the spirit is like, man, let me out. I'm trying to go. I see where I need to get, but you're pushing me. You keep suppressing the truth. You inside of you. You keep suppressing what's possible, where you can potentially go because of fear. Again, this is the earthly shit that we're hanging on to via astral body, via our emotional bodies, our astral bodies, that these are the binds, all right? The binds, the ensnarements that cause these loops of stagnation in our day-to-days. So this is what's going to allow us to go within in fullness and completely reprogram and reshape our truth and find a Christ point, a middle point, find a balance point of consciousness to unravel your code as that is in its optimized potential. That is high frequency. Many of these belief systems have also remained alive long after the originators or first developers manifested the waveforms, the thoughts to beliefs, the belief system to an entity or collective thought form in the astral plane called an egregore, which of course it can manifest down in lower emanations, appear physical material plane. All right. Multidimensionally speaking, the white or light magic alchemist operates with God and from an inner state of awareness, the divine life force intelligence, the I, Christ consciousness, pure intuition, love, in direct commune with the life spirit. As some will say, this is that Trinity, love, wisdom, and I don't know. There's a lot of trinities, right? So explore these numbers, all right, and look at how the forces of nature combine in different numbers and take on intelligent forms in these frequencies, in these vibrations that hold a specific resonance to carry out a specific emanation. So operating with white magic, we're just talking about benevolence. We're just talking about goodness here. We're not out here causing discord, dropping bombs on like what's going on now. Take a moment, just to be grateful and understand like you're not there, and just that alone, having breath, and if there's anything you could be grateful for, right? And you see the catastrophe, the disaster, the monstrosities that unravel from these entities that have existed that act like they need control of religion and power, and no, because they don't want you to have this agency and awareness and sovereignty within, and always feel like you don't. This is part of the training and embedded in the system that's training the subconscious from the individual and collective. And so in direct commune with the life spirit being your unraveling of your creative process of the individual. So let's take a brief moment to recognize this observation. In the matrix that we operate in today, humans commit both good and evil actions. Now remember, see, I put this in quotes. Now remember, all that is harmony and discord. These thought forms that exist on opposite ends of the spectrum are also equal to each other. They originate from the same source of fluid potentia, omnipresence. Okay, you see. So again, as the soul is working to get back to its source, we're acknowledging that, again, the polarity parameter in the universal forces. So man manipulates it at will via the imagination and other faculties of man, and depending on what they seek in this realm, this is where we start to divide opportunity, because we as a collective have kind of been put to sleep in certain aspects in regards to the true balanced potential that we have and that we are. So these thought forms that exist on opposite ends of the spectrum are also equal to each other. They originate from the same source of fluid potentia, the omnipresence. All is God. So this is just understanding that this the yin and yang. Um, but really studying this within and having a responsibility of that fluidity of harmony and discord that flows in through the vibrationary biorhythms of you of your being. Lower vibrational waveforms gives the ego impressions, stimulus, and emotional energy, just energy and motion, so emotional change. The change is more specifically a series of impressions, vibrational waveforms influencing the human to experience frequency alterations in their electromagnetic frequency field. In the collective consciousness, impressions of the mind directly reflect the entire electromagnetic biofield of the individual. This can cause individuals to act irrationally in a multiple of harmful and unhealthy expressions. Our actions, which are energies in motion, or emotions, they see all these intertwine. They see how this interweaves from the lighter bodies down to the physical, actual action of the essence being carried out in its material creation. A potentially influencing discordance between cells in the body. So you're disrupting the flow of harmonious communications. Okay? So, yes, dis-ease. Vibratory dis-ease. Other forms of these expressions, of which are almost invisible to the naked eye or involuntary, however poisonous thought, of which are almost invisible to the naked eye or involuntary, however poisonous thoughts, hate, self-pity, selfishness, envy, grudges, etc., express themselves, externalize themselves in very maybe almost ways you wouldn't see the eye, right? Invisible, other than like a facial gesture. But behind all this physical, there's subtle essence that's driving all of this to present itself into this physical field. So we're just looking at the separation between the expression of the feeling or the emotion in the physical plane and having an awareness of the astral body within you, and an awareness naturally which presents itself on the outer planes as well once the awareness has been gathered within. So it's just sort of a confidence level of who you are and developing that relationship. Seriously cultivating a good relationship with having enough confidence you are, but just truth in your code and unraveling it and not letting the archons influence your unraveling, your truth. Right? We exist in a matrix, an environment ever changing and impermanent, fluid and seeking balance of its dual consciousness of chaos and order, or equilibrium. A lot of what is cause of chaotic is invisible to the naked eye. Even the atmospheric conditions seeking balance, generating powerful efforts to achieve balance of pressurization. One may observe as it gathers in a godly force, note the Vedas value and Shu in Egyptian mythology, powerful enough to sweep ships under swallowing ocean tides, the waters below, and wipe out topographical layers of modern day infrastructure. And that was before, even the Greeks and the Romans, where you have the Greek Zeus and the Roman Jupiter, storm gods, so the Neteru, the Netters, in Egypt, Nut, Nut, Shu, and Jeb, Vedas. I have my notes. I'll start to go way off track here, but this is part of your the triune, the Trinity, the power of the three, the creative principle of the triangle. That goes back to Pythagoras school. Which again, a lot of these names, guys, they've been hijacked. All all right, by the system. So when you see these names, don't just say this person is invalid because NASA decided, a certain entity decided to use this name and corroborate their research with. Be careful. This is how the grifts continue. All right. Mother Nature and you too, astral traveler, are intertwined, intrinsically one, and perpetually in expansion with the cosmos. The intelligence that permeates everything is the source, divine life essence. The soul is always working its way back to divine life force intelligence, divine life essence. I use different phrases and different names for the powers that are flowing throughout you, throughout everything in this universe, or multidimensional universes, however you would like to explore your interdimensionality. And how when you're exploring and unraveling your own magical, expressions, and just what I'm saying is you have a care enough within to acknowledge that power that's within you and protect it. The daily life experience, every individual is unraveling their specific coding that is unique to their life spirit, or as mentioned earlier, electromagnetic biophysical field. It is a vibrationary resonance and frequency flow. This happens primarily internally, although it does directly reflect itself to the external world of the individual as a natural response in physical reality, in the life experience and universal constructs of Mother Earth and the firmament of God, all that is and will be, and for that know all that has been. As previously noted, most of what is happening in the world around us is actually invisible to the naked eye. However, some of these frequencies of life essence transmute themselves into beautiful patterns one may observe with proper perspective. Yes, the Fibonacci sequence, intricate pattern of Mother Nature, mathematically and systematically organizing for all living organisms to process in her creation field, through which the golden mean ratio is derived. So the universal coding is embedded in the collective subconscious mind and universal memory, or Akashic records. Intricate geometric vibrational patterns hold unique frequencies specific for organizing information in life. All is recycled of the life spirit, the mind, the material body of the individual soul. All parts existing across all multidimensional fields are recycled back into the life cycle. Death is life, beginning of new life for the spirit, mind, and body respectively, to universal law and accord. Meaning, that's what we're here to do, experience death. We're here, that's what the work is, what we're here to do. So again, this is the fear, some of the fears that people. This is the awareness you cultivate, the relationship within the spirit, within the soul. That light just gets brighter and brighter and brighter within. Fears go away. They eradicate. They're gone. You funnel. You allow the torsion field to flush that shit out. Your mind power, your thought frequency. You potentiate your will, your initiative. And we've talked about the power of breathing, and we're going to a lot more, but definitely check out some of the other videos. Your breath is at the ultimate, it's a power source, vitality source for a foundation point to do multiple things, including astral travel, but even just employing the imagination. A certain frequency of breath, a rate of breath will integrate a speed, a bandwidth of a wavelength of thought frequency. So So these interdimensional geometric vibrational energy patterns are significant for understanding the rituals of sigil magic, symbolism that can be harnessed for both black and white, evil and good, harmony and discord, negative and positive, you see here, magic rituals inside of the matrix. Okay, now that we have noted what is going on in the invisible world, which shows one and the same as the material. So again, most of what's going on is not seen with the eyes. So, I mean, 96%. I mean, there's different, you could say, studies that say different percentages, but let's just say that the majority, and I mean, truly, the predominant frequency, electromagnetic rays and frequency that flows in this universe and through this ether fields, you can't see with your eyes. So this is why this is so powerful and assistive. The other 96%, or if you're looking at like visible light spectrum, 99.7% or whatever it is, 90, just mostly everything else. Okay, and this is also to note. Hopefully, I'm dropping some good little gems here for you guys, but this is to note that when you're looking at an object, right, and you're seeing an object, the color, it's not reflecting the color that the object is. Okay, the reflection that you're seeing is a refraction of the light that it's not absorbing. So the light that it doesn't absorb is the light that's refracted. It's not actually the color that is. Okay, so this is part of understanding the perception of perspective. That is how color consciousness codes your chakra system. Your subtle bodies are coded, embedded in the coding of frequency of color, which divides itself into the seven. The power, there's the seven, which is that power of seven, again, numerologically speaking, goes back as far as we can possibly contrive. So, where was I at here? Oh yeah, the original is seven planetary bodies, the seven, the pure white light, when it hits the prism here, the Earth's prism, separates itself into fields of consciousness, codes of consciousness, how we understand colors, which have a direct correspondence with etheric fields of our system, of our bioanatomical, physiological system, functioning in its formative essence, our spiritual essence, our spiritual system, our etheric fields. So I'll note, it's not invisible. What I'm saying is your physical eyes just aren't really, we're not measuring. This isn't what that's why we call it the construct, the illusion. Because the other majority, 96.56 whatever percent of what's happening within you, it's not here. All right, you get it. Higher frequency forms of life force, alchemically transmuting life force essence into lower states of vibration. Yeah, so we're just talking about the degrees of and emanations through which astral energy, light energy, photonic and phononic frequency has its degrees in eventually organically crystallizes itself through some fundamental intelligence in order of communicating, rearranging, and shaping in congruence to the planetary movements and alignments that have been on it in its trajectories, in its course of trajectory since You tell me, right? So this is the program. All right, that's the script, the scripted, the truth of the cosmos and your consciousness and how it does. It is all one. So the scripts that are playing out in this field are just trying to keep us from deeper communications. And wow, I mean, do you want me to start giving examples with these reptilian guys and this Anunnaki guys and these grifters, man? I mean that, I think sometimes should I spend the time to exploit? But no, because I do. These people are going to get washed out as long as there's enough people that have this deeper awareness of unraveling their inner truth and their unique coding. These people will fall to the wayside. They're liars. I mean, but that's not even like a fun word. They're just grifters. They'll do anything for money. The divine life force surges through the being of the student. Awareness of one's own perception is vital to raising the frequencies on the interdimensional fields of the inner realm, specifically the subconscious mind and the life spirit, through repetition of empowering energy patterns with conscious awareness of thoughts and actions. All right. Sometimes I'm like, I don't think that I'm saying this the right way. Like so I'm going to do my best to honorably present this, but if you're utilizing this and you're going to employ any of this, I'm just reminding you that you have limitless power and potential, but you have to initiate that within you and respect that shit. Don't abuse it. All right. I mean, this is like when they say F around and find out. That's I'm just saying, don't abuse this pure consciousness that you have within you, that light. That's gnosis. That's where your truth is unraveling perpetually from, whether you're aware of this or not. That is the sacred fire. Would these faculties and machinations be working in this vessel, this apparatus that you're housed in, without the breath? Properly attuned to prana, breath control, getting closer to God, the divine source within. This inner universe begins to awaken the more this practice is enabled by the individual. The subconscious begins to remember itself. The life spirit begins to flow strong and healthy, and the individual becomes one with all that is internal. That is, the darkness and the light as one. There's your middle point. There's the 13, the letter M, the medium, the middle, media, the Christ consciousness, the awareness within as one. Why do you think his name was Matrix? Longitudinal scalar waveforms permeate all existence. Oh, sorry, this skipped through pages. Happens sometimes. Longitudinal scalar waveforms permeate all existence. Pure potential voltage inductions emanating ever-present dielectric potentia. These waveforms interweave, interact, and communicate with the organisms and their electromagnetic biocurrents. Thought frequencies of human beings have similar potential to organize as collective thought forms in etheric fields, forming potentially long-lasting belief systems that expand to invisible superstructures in the collective subconscious mind. Now, Same potential emergence of life force permeating the spirit of the individual has the same capabilities as prana, potentia to manifest as the creative process in the life experience. This is an important note for the student. Divine life spirit is in a perpetual state of self contemplation. And I will say it again and again, and I write it to bring that awareness into you. So you develop a relation, you cultivate and work to cultivate a relationship with that gnosis. We're just here to help each other remember. This is an important note for the student. Divine life spirit is in a perpetual state of self-contemplation. Go follow those, those frequencies, that truth that's unraveling. It's not a follow. It's a in and out. And you're in the middle. You're the observer of that. So you're in a level of agency, of an awareness and thought sovereignty to employ your will and the other faculties and divine machinations of your potential to its utmost boundless course and trajectory at your will. All right. I think this is a good place to pause. I could keep going. I mean, we can go through this stuff, but I'll end up I think piling on a lot more. I mean, maybe not. Maybe some individuals do prefer long form, like hours and hours. And I have to make the time, 4 or 6 hours, and I don't mind doing it to go further into this stuff, but I don't want to go around in loop. So for now, this right here is, you could spend as much time, with this material right here and explore your critical thought and see what resonates in spirit and harness these words and as a utility, in your tool belt of your consciousness, your awareness. So I think for today, I just think that's a great place to kind of wind down the context in the manuscript. If you're still here, thank you for sticking around. I really hope that you're gathering, whatever you can gather and resonate, and this is helpful. But really, I'm just reminding you that you have the infinite potential within you. That is what I wrote this for, and this is how I wrote it. With that intention embedded into the code, into the spelling, into the words. And please don't mind me for a grammatical error here and there if you happen to see one as I read, or for one, I was doing my own kind of self-editing on the book, and I did my best to edit it so that it wasn't any grammatical errors, but I think you get the gist for chapter 1. If you want to go back over any of this or in a more detail, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, insights as to what I'm referring to, or those particular things, please do not hesitate to reach out to me directly on YouTube, Patreon, email, multiple ways to reach out. Holler at me. Again, thank you so much for your support, everybody who stuck around to this point. We have a long way to go and grow, and we're going to continue this honorable course of expansion as we explore our own trajectories, employ our own willpower and initiative that is just encouraging each other to advise that responsibility within, to have a full awareness and respect for that power. So we know how to properly utilize it, properly employ it, so that we can harness the utmost experience in this chaos, man. In experience, this journey. Remember, that's what you are, to embrace in all aspects. All right. Wow. All right. We did good. Hour and 15. Um, yeah, with that being said, moving into Saturday, Sunday here in Saturn's Day, Georgia. So wherever you are at, wherever you may be, please take care in your endeavors. Please feel free again to reach out anytime. And anything else I can leave you with on a good high note. I have a final message for you, and I will share this. But depending on the videos you've watched, you might have seen the message. Nonetheless, I'll leave you with this message. We'll get out of here. Please utilize this material as a resource as much as necessary. I, the author, speak from the heart with a message of appreciation to the individuals who have continued to embrace their path of truth. Modern day is full of distractions, and we must help each other remember the divine powers that exist within. Never alone, but rather all one of a much larger universal breath and pulse. Please take care in your endeavors, everybody, and hit that like, share, and subscribe. I gotta say that and remind, please, it really helps. It's really gonna help this channel, and I have something for you in the stick around, stay tuned. Much love and peace. Until next time.